Good morning, Shayna. Thank you for taking the time out to speak with Diversity Abroad and sharing your story. Um, Great. So, why don't we get started? Why don't you just let me know where you studied, where you're from, your home institute, and your major?
I studied in 2012 in Cyprus, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm at school at North Carolina A&T. I'm a senior psychology major.
Great, great. And so, why did you decide to study abroad?
It was something that I always wanted to do because I've never, even just going to school out of state was like I never wanted to stay in one place for too long. And ever since I was little, I've always wanted to go overseas because I had never been and I didn't think I would ever get to go. And at A&T, I had heard that it was expensive to study abroad because so many students don't do it. But when I did it, it was like my financial aid paid for it. It was cheaper to go overseas for a semester than it was for A&T for like an entire year. So I was like, may as well just
Why
go.
not?
Right.
Right. Okay, great. And yeah, so you were saying some of the ways you funded it. So, how did you fund your program? You had mentioned financial aid.
Financial aid, the Pell Grant works really well if you get it because that's for students who don't have that much, financial stuff to fall
Hmm.
back on. I also received the full Gilman scholarship when I applied.
Okay.
And because of my GPA, I got a $1,500 scholarship to go to my program as well.
Wow. So,
And some of the programs are affiliated with ANTC. You get an automatic discount. Like I got an automatic $250 discount with GLS as well.
very cool. So, you had that financial support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And did you experience any discrimination while you were abroad?
No, it was honestly more as they were like, and it was more, one of the Cypriots actually told me, they were like, we're not being like racist. When we look at you guys, we're just like, oh, black people, what are they doing here? And it's like, a lot of people, what I noticed in Cyprus is that they don't really know that there are black people in America. So when you tell them you're from America, they're like, what are you doing here? Why are you from there? So it wasn't so much discrimination, it was more just like blatant curiosity of
Right,
where are you from, why are you from there, and what are you doing here?
right. So
So,
it becomes an education process, not only for you, but you're educating the world too.
right, because in my philosophy class, we were talking about slavery, and one of the guys was like, does slavery still go on there? They're like, are you a slave? And I was like, what? No. No, I'm not. So, yeah.
Well, good. You're educating people, so that's a plus. Um, is there anything that you wish you had known prior to you leaving for your program?
Um, I think I wish I had known that. I wish I had known there were going to be so many other people from A&T going because it was like three of us. And I honestly wish I had known that I could have extended my stay for a year. That's what I wish I had known because I would have liked to stay for longer. But nothing really. It wasn't so much surprising because I prefer to go into different cultures with an open mind because, of course, you're going to find things that are just kind of maybe a bit questionable, but you just have to open your eyes and accept it because not everybody's like America. And I already knew that America's just different, but my mom always raised me, she was like, oh, everybody thinks Americans are crazy, and it's true, like, they really think we are insane, and it's like, it's pretty crazy, but
Well, you proved them otherwise.
yeah.
Awesome. And so, what was the most memorable moment during your experience abroad?
I met this girl over there. She was from Northern Cyprus. She's one of my best friends. And meeting her and was like my most memorable moment because I used to stay at her house a lot. And her family was so welcoming and so nice. And they would always call her in class like, when is Shayna coming back? Tell her to come back tonight. And then on Facebook, she messaged me and told me that her sister was studying abroad in the UK. And everybody was really mean to her because, like the split between Cyprus and Northern Cyprus is really bad and they're really racist about it. And she told me that she told her sister the nicest person she had ever met in university was me. And I was like, oh my God. So I cried, and that was my most memorable moment.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the great things that comes out from these experiences is when you make a lasting friendship.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And that's unique. Not everyone has that ability to do that. So, and how would you say studying abroad has benefited you personally or academically?
It helped me because foreign students are just so much more dedicated to school than Americans are. And I can just see that even with the foreign students here at A&T. So it helps me just to get my mind right and be more dedicated to school than I already am. And it also helped me to learn that it's okay to depend on other people, you know, because I had to in that setting because I was by myself and I didn't know anybody else. So I kind of discovered that it was okay to let people in and be around people and be able to trust people without worrying about anybody hurting you or anything like that, because I had just grown up with this whole loner mindset of I can do it myself, whatever, I don't need anybody. But meeting all these humble people over there, I was like, oh, well, maybe I can let people in. So I was able to kind of develop myself a little bit more. And I'm able to think really hard before I speak now, because you never know what can trigger someone. One, you never know where somebody's coming from, and you can't just assume that, oh, well, just because they're here in America, they can deal with it, because that's not necessarily true. So it was more like an intellectual and spiritual experience for me too. Wow. That helped me grow in my spirituality as well.
Very great. And how would you say studying abroad has influenced your future?
Oh, wow. Because at first I was just going to do mental health psychology. Now I would like to do in the realm of international psychology. And what I really want to do is go into community mental health and deal with the people that can't receive it because they can't afford it. And I would eventually like to get to a place where I can just be like, oh, you don't have the money? That's okay. We can still help you. It doesn't matter. And I also want to deal with the people that are coming in from asylum, because asylum is a really long and crazy process that people don't really understand. And these people come over, most of them aren't even able to speak English. They don't understand the process. I don't even understand the process that well, except it takes a really long time. So I want to help those people because I know that they're going through a lot. And what I realized when I was over in Cyprus was that psychology isn't something that people really acknowledge in other countries, because they just figure, well, we deal with it all the time, so it's nothing serious. So when they come over here and they have to deal with it and nobody's there to really help them, I want to be that person. So it really affected my goals a lot, because I just want to travel and counsel. I want to just have a traveling practice one day, just to go to different countries and station there for a while, help a few people, more than that if I can, and then leave and go to the next place and just I want to leave centers behind in different countries where people can go and get help and not have to worry about paying these astronomical amounts of money for craziness, you know, like rehab. Do you know how much heroin rehab is? Oh my God, like people like on the streets on heroin do not get help because they don't want to. It's because they can't afford it, you know, and that's crazy to me. So I would like to just leave centers around the world where people can just come in, ability to pay basis, or if you can't pay, well, I mean, hey, at least you got help.
Right.
You know.
That sounds like a wonderful idea, and good luck to you with that.
Thank you.
I think it sounds great. So lastly, is there any advice that you would have for students thinking about going abroad?
I would say the fear, that needs to just go out the window already, because that's what's going to stop you from going anywhere. I never had that fear because I've been on a plane before, but a lot of people, even the girl that just went overseas that I'm mentoring, she was really afraid to get on the plane and what have you. I'm like, no, this fear that everybody has, no. Don't throw caution to the wind, but don't be scared, because it's out here. You can do it, especially at A&T. Like, it's affordable. It's so affordable. It's ridiculous. So more people need to do it. And if you're thinking about going abroad, if you have questions, this whole office is here to help you. Allegra will give out our contact information. Feel free to contact us. We're here because we want you to go abroad. So anybody who wants to go overseas, just don't be afraid to go, because that's what's going to stop you from doing a lot of things in your life, is that fear, you know.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Those are the only questions I have on my end, and thank you so much for sharing your story about diversity abroad.
No problem. Thank you for having me.